Not completely sure. Let's see here. While that's loading up, I'm gonna... Alright, you guys still can't see my screen. Okay, hold on. Baby. There we go. I just gotta... switch it. I mean, I can do that later, actually. This will work for now. So, this is our current view of Hurricane Erin at the moment. As you can see, it does have that eye in the center of your screen there, with that large blob of disturbed weather and thunderstorms on its the southwestern side of the storm here. If we switch to the water vapor here, there really isn't any dry air here in this system. There's dry air over there near the Dominican and all that. Dominican, Haiti, Puerto Rico. But there really isn't anything near the system that would hinder it. And I don't know what that... Welcome in, Leslie. I don't know why it made that noise. That's going to be something I have to try and fix here. But we jump on over to our recon. We do have a recon flight in here. I'm doing well, Leslie. Just got off of work about 36 minutes ago. So just decided to hop on to the stream here and eat my dinner as well. But this is the current like recon data from National Hurricane Center reconnaissance flight. I appreciate it, Leslie. But this is the current view on what they're getting. They're currently heading to the southeastern quadrant of the storm. They're likely going to fly up north and get another pass through the eye here. But they're currently getting about 83 knots of winds. And if we jump over to our knots to mile an hour tab here, 83 knots is about 95 miles an hour here. If we jump over here to our Saffir-Simpson wind scale here, it is a high-end EF1, not EF1, jeez. It is a high-end Category 1 right now, and honestly, the National Hurricane Center might go with in Category 2 here, which, as you can see there, is 96 to 110 miles an hour. And I'm also going to jump over here, see if the new advisory is out. It is not. However, this is as of the 8 o'clock advisory here. Erin intensifying as it nears its closest approach to the north of the Leeward Islands here. If we go into the advisory, maybe. So, there has been a change with this advisory here. The Meteorological Service of Antigua and Barbuda, I don't know how to say that, has discontinued the tropical storm watch for the island of Barbuda. Summary of watches and warnings that are currently in effect. Tropical storm watch is in effect for Anguilla, St. Martin and St. Bartholomew, Saba and St. Eustace, and St. Martin. Tropical storm watch means that tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area, in this case over the next 24 hours. Interests elsewhere in the northern Leeward Islands, Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, as well as in the Turks and Caicos and the southeastern Bahamas, should monitor the progress of Erin. For storm information specific to your area, please monitor reports issued by your National Meteorological Service. So, at 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, the eye of Hurricane Erin was located near latitude 19.4 north, longitude 58.5 west. Erin is moving towards the west-northwest near 17 miles an hour. Its motion is expected to continue through the weekend with a gradual increase in forward speed. On the forecast track, the center of Erin is likely to move just north of the northern Leeward Islands, and that is happening right now here. The Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico over the weekend. NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft data indicates that maximum sustained winds have increased to near 85 miles an hour with higher gusts. Steady to rapid strengthening is expected over the next few days, and Erin is forecast to become a major hurricane during the weekend. Both NOAA and Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft are investigating Erin this evening. If we jump back over to tropical tidbits here. So this is the mission that I was just showing you guys here. That is from the Air Force. This mission is the Air Force's. Then this is the NOAA flight. Why did Tidbits just kick me out? That's weird. So, 7. So it looks like this Air Force flight is taking off right now. So they should be in the storm in a couple hours here. But this is the NOAA flight. This is NOAA 3, mission number 6 into Erin. They are currently in the storm right now. They're investigating that southwestern quadrant. And they've been dropping drop songs along the way as well. As well as getting, obviously, wind data. And they're recording I'm assuming on their most recent pass that they made through the center, they managed to get 982 millibars. each pass they've made, it's dropped by about 1. So when the pressure is going down, the wind speeds are going up. And that's indicated here. You can see well, maybe. You can see there's purples and then there's like pinks here as well. That's indicating 83 to 96 knots. So if we go over here, 96 knots is 110 miles an hour here, according to our knot to mile an hour. Let's jump back over to the NHC advisory here. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 25 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 115 miles from the center. Minimum central pressure estimated from NOAA Hurricane Hunter dropsonde data is 982 millibars, or 29.00 inches. So, the hazards affecting land here. Rainfall. The outer bands of Erin are expected to produce areas of heavy rainfall tonight and Sunday across the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Rainfall totals of 2 to 4 inches with isolated totals of 6 inches are expected. This rainfall may lead to isolated and locally considerable flash flooding and urban flooding along with mudslides or landslides here. Wind tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area by early Saturday. Surf. Swells generated by Erin will begin affecting portions of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico by this weekend, and will likely spread to the western Atlantic early next week. These swells are likely to cause life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. Please consult products from your local weather forecast office. And then, I'm going to make sure that the new advisory hasn't came out yet. It has not. So, let's take a look at the key messages here for Erin before the new advisory releases. Heavy rainfall tonight through Sunday across the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico may lead to isolated and locally considerable flash and urban flooding, along with landslides or mudslides. Tropical storm conditions are possible within portions of the northern Leeward Islands, where tropical storm watches are in effect beginning Saturday as the core of Erin passes north of these islands. Gusts of tropical storm force are possible in rain bands over portions of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico over the weekend. While the threat of direct impacts in the Bahamas and along the east coast of the United States appears to be gradually decreasing, there will still be a significant risk of dangerous surf and rip currents along the western Atlantic beaches next week. And interest in Bermuda should continue to monitor the progress of Erin, since there is still a risk of strong winds, heavy rainfall, and high surf by the middle of the next week. Which makes sense. Bermuda is that small island right next to that yellow blob there that you're seeing, that I believe just got marked. So, as of 8 p.m. EDT, Friday, August 15th, 2025, for the Western Atlantic, a broad area of low pressure located offshore the coast of North Carolina is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Some slight development is possible over the weekend while the low drifts slowly toward the southeast over the warm waters of the Gulf Stream, remaining offshore. By Monday, environmental conditions are expected to become unfavorable for further development. So, yeah, that makes sense. This is the 5 o'clock cone for Erin. So, by the time Erin gets to where that system currently is, it'll still be a major hurricane. Now, what wind speeds, we're not exactly sure yet. So, let's jump back over to our satellite image here for Erin. Oh my gosh, it has a pinhole eye. Wow. Concerning this morning, it was a tropical storm. I'm not exactly sure what. I'm fairly certain that this might end up being rapid intensification. Oh, that. So currently we are awaiting the 11 o'clock advisory. What notification do I have from Streamlabs? I actually don't know. Jump back over here. We still do not have the 11 o'clock advisory. However, based off of our long wave infrared satellite here, I'm going to make the call that this is a Cat 2. And the Air Force is gearing up for a northeast southwest pass. So basically, they're going to go right through where the 982 millibar dot is. Also, I do not know what is making that noise. That is weird. I really don't know what's making that noise here. Let's take a look at the model intensity guidance. So, almost all the models now, aside from a select few, do have Erin making it to Category 4 status, with some of them even attempting to get to 135 knots, which is borderline Category 5. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. However, it's still too early to tell. We are about 5 minutes out here from the new National Hurricane Center Advisory 19 on Hurricane Erin here. Erin recently became a hurricane here as of, I believe it was the 5 o'clock advisory. Yeah, Michael Bergamo here is just a meteorologist here. Telling you what, if Erin maintains this presentation, we have a major hurricane by the morning. The outflow, inner structure, the convection pattern, a classic look of a soon-to-be very strong hurricane. Seen it many times. Thankfully, this monster is staying out to sea. A landfall would have big problems. Yeah, I believe it. As of right now, Erin's projected intensification rate is one of the highest ever forecasted by the National Hurricane Center in 3 separate time frames. Unreal. Yeah, that's insane. VDM gets circular 9 nautical mile eye. That is insane. We are about 4 minutes out now from the new advisory. And apparently it is out. Yep. So, advisory is out. Erin is now a Category 2 hurricane and is expected to rapidly intensify into a major hurricane this weekend. So, it is now a 100-mile-an-hour Category 2 hurricane on this Simpson wind scale. If we go over to our scale here, so they can't put it at 96 because for whatever reason, National Hurricane Center decides to take it up in increments of 5. So they put it at 100 miles an hour, which is a mid-end Category 2 hurricane. I'm expecting by the time of the 2 a.m. advisory, there will be a borderline Category 3 if it continues strengthening at this rate. As a reminder here, this thing was a 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm at this time this morning, I believe. I want to double check that. Yeah, actually. Yeah, I'll say it. At this time this morning, Erin had just become a Category 1 hurricane with winds of 75 miles an hour. So Erin got her act together quickly and is now a low-end Category 2 hurricane. So let's go into the public advisory here. So, once again, our header for this advisory: Erin, now a Category 2 hurricane and expected to rapidly intensify into a major hurricane this weekend. Its location is 19.5 north, 59.5 west. It's about 250 miles east-northeast of Anguilla. Its maximum sustained winds have increased to 100 miles an hour, or 155 kilometers an hour, or 85 knots. Maximum movement is west-northwest at 17 miles an hour. And the minimum central pressure is 979 millibars, or 28.91 inches. So, since we last covered this storm, there have been no changes with the watches and warnings. So we're not going to cover that. Interests elsewhere in the northern Leeward Islands, Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, as well as in the Turks and Caicos and southeastern Bahamas, should monitor your progress. For some information specific to your area, please monitor products issued by your local National Meteorological Service. So now we get into the juicy stuff here. At 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, the center of Hurricane Erin was located near latitude 19.5 north, longitude 59.5 west. Erin is moving toward the west-northwest near 17 miles an hour. This motion is expected to continue through the weekend with a gradual decrease in forward speed. On the forecast track, the center of Erin is likely to move just north of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico over the weekend. Air Force reconnaissance aircraft indicate that maximum sustained winds have increased near 100 miles an hour with higher gusts. Rapid strengthening is forecast over the next 24 to 36 hours, and Erin is forecast to become a major hurricane during the weekend, possibly even by the next major update here, which will be at 5 a.m., which, as you guys know, I will not be awake for to cover. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 30 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 125 miles. Then the minimum central pressure estimated by NOAA and Air Force dropsonde data is 979 millibars, or 28.91 inches. So, hazards affecting land here. Key messages for Erin can be found in the tropical cyclone discussion under, we're not reading that. Rainfall. The outer bands of Erin are expected to produce areas of heavy rainfall tonight and Sunday across the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Rainfall totals of 2 to 4 inches with isolated totals of 6 inches are expected. This rainfall may lead to isolated and locally considerable flash and urban flooding, along with landslides or mudslides. And we're not going to go into that graphic there. Wind, tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area by early Saturday. Surf. Swell strained by Erin will begin affecting portions of the northern Leeward Islands the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and the Turks and Caicos Islands this weekend, and will likely spread to the Bahamas, Bermuda, and the east coast of the United States early next week. These swells are likely to cause life-threatening surf and rip current conditions. Please consult products from your local weather forecast office. Then next intermediate advisory is at 2 a.m., with the next complete advisory being at 5 a.m. Then Papin issued this forecast. So we're going into the forecast discussion here. Erin appears to be starting a period of rapid intensification tonight. The structure on satellite imagery has improved quite dramatically, with a small eye becoming more apparent on the infrared satellite images within a small but cold central dense overcast. GOES 19 1-minute imagery also shows convective hot towers rotating cyclonically around, helping to make the hurricane's core more axis symmetric. We have had a wealth of data from both the NOAA and Air Force Reserve hurricane hunters this evening. The tail Doppler radar on board the NOAA P3 showed that the wind field has become much better organized, especially in the northern semicircle, with tilt diagnostics showing Erin's deep layer circulation now vertically aligned. Within the past hour, the Air Force C-130 aircraft found 700 millibar flight level winds of 92 knots, which is, once again, we're going to jump over to our favorite thing, of 105 miles an hour here, northwestern quadrant. This reduces to a sustained wind of 85 knots, making Erin a Category 2 hurricane. The hurricane moved a little right of track earlier this evening, but smoothing out the wobbles. The latest motion still appears to be west-northwestward at 290 per 16 knots. Not much has changed with the track philosophy, with a large subtropical anticyclone helping steer Erin off to the west-northwest for at least the next 24 to 48 hours. Jeez. Thereafter, weakness in this ridge begins to develop, thanks in part to a series of digging shortwaves across the broad longwave trough centered just west of Atlantic Canada. This evolution in the synoptic pattern should allow Erin to turn northwestward and then northward by the end of the forecast period. The track guidance remains in pretty good agreement Track guidance remain in pretty good agreement for the next 2 to 3 days of the period, but track spread does increase by day 5, with the ECMWF model on the left side of the guidance envelope and the GFS on the right side. The latest NHC track forecast is quite similar to the prior one, and elects to split the difference between these solutions close to the ACCA and GDMI track solutions. In the short term, all factors appear favorable for Erin to intensify, likely rapidly, over the next day or two. With the development of a smaller inner core, low shear, warm sea surface temperatures, ample mid-level moisture, DTOPS guidance shows a greater than 75% chance of a 30-knot increase in intensity over the next 24 hours, and the latest NHC intensity forecast now shows that amount of intensification in the next day, bringing Erin to a Category 4 intensity by tomorrow night and peaking at 125 knots in 36 hours. The tricky part of the forecast comes after the next day, for eye wall replacement cycles, which are difficult to predict with much lead time. In addition, the models continue to show the potential for an increase in northwesterly vertical wind shear to 20 to 30 knots at 48 to 72 hours. In fact, the HAFS A and B models simulated satellite imagery show a significant degradation in structure over this time period. Salinity intensity forecast now shows a little weakening beyond 36 hours, and it could weaken more if these hurricane regional models verify. Regardless, the combination of eye wall replacement cycles and vertical wind shear will likely lead to a dramatic expansion of the wind field of Erin, making it a large and powerful hurricane toward the end of the forecast. So then, we're getting into the key messages here. Key message 1. Heavy rainfall tonight through Sunday across the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, mainly to isolated and locally considerable flash and urban flooding, along with landslides or mudslides. 2. Tropical storm conditions are possible for portions of the northern Leeward Islands, where tropical storm watches are in effect beginning on Saturday as the core of Erin passes north of these islands. Gusts to tropical storm force are possible in remands over portions of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico later in the weekend. 3. While the threat of direct impacts in the Bahamas and along the east coast of the U.S. appears to be gradually decreasing, there will still be a significant risk of not damaging, jeez, I need to go to bed or something. There will still be a significant risk of dangerous surf and rip currents along western Atlantic beaches of next week. And interest in Erin, oh my gosh. Interest in Bermuda should continue to monitor the progress of Erin, since there is still a risk of strong winds, heavy rainfall, and high surf by the middle part of next week. Now, the forecast positions and max wind speed. So, right now, 85 knots, 100 miles an hour. In 12 hours, 100 knots or 115 miles an hour. At this time in one day, 115 knots or 130 miles an hour. In 36 hours, 125 knots or 145 miles an hour. Then the weakening starts. In 2 days, 120 knots or 140 miles an hour. In 60 hours, 115 knots, 130 miles an hour. 72 hours, 110 or 125 miles an hour. 96 hours, 105, 120 miles an hour. Then finally, 120 hours out, 100 knots or 115 miles an hour. So that's with that. Let's take a look at the new cone here. Like they said, nothing's really changed with the forecast here, cone. They have all major points now, which aligns with what they were saying in the forecast discussion. So, yeah, let's take one last look at Erin for the evening here. There is a vertical heat tower blowing up here on that northeastern side of the eye wall, which is pretty concerning, to say the least. I said it earlier tonight to someone on Twitter. I do believe that when we wake up in the morning, we will be dealing with a monster storm. Much different than it is right now. Like, I'm expecting this stuff to the northwest of it to be gone. Like, I'm expecting that southwestern side convection be gone. Or at least dissipated more than it is. And yeah. Let's take a look at true color. See what happens here. Even the banding, the outflow looks... It looks like a classic hurricane now. It's just unbelievable. Nope. I do not want to go to Amazon. Nope. It is approaching that 20 north, 60 west area here as well. Let's take a look at forecast models as well before we get out of here for the night. So, that's Erin right there. I believe that right there is our system that currently has the 1010. So, as Erin progresses here, in about the 50-hour range, I'd say, we do have another wave moving off of Africa that will gradually acquire tropical characteristics and eventually strengthen. And that wants to make landfall around the Jacksonville area. Now, I will say this. This is 276 hours out. Usually, with the 18Z, this does not happen. This is happy hour for the GFS. This is literal happy hour for the GFS here. So, what you see here, according to GFS, will not, well, I shouldn't say it won't happen, but there is a very low chance of it happening. However, Erin goes off, that new storm goes on, does its thing, makes landfall, and like on the border of Miami and I'm exhausted. I just called Florida Miami. I mean, same area. On the border of Florida and Georgia. There we go. Actually, let's see if we can get an exact town name here using WeatherWise. I'm not sponsored by WeatherWise in any way. However, it is, in my opinion, the best radar app to use. It is arguably better than Radar Omega is. But I'd say from probably Brunswick, Georgia to Daytona Beach here, you guys need to be paying attention to this new storm that is trying to form here, according to the GFS. So, anywhere in that area I just circled, just be on alert, because we could have another storm form close to where Erin did. As a reminder, if you didn't know, Erin got designated, like, Okay, Streamlabs, I get it. Erin got designated. Oh my gosh. Pretty much right where that line is. That's where Erin got designated. As like an actual thing. So, with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching this impromptu live stream here. I did this pretty much as soon as I got home. No prior knowledge or anything of how I was going to do it. Obviously, if you turn into the first live stream, technical difficulties, because I didn't have this, like, scene set up. So, yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, guys, peace out.